Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Delta Dialogues. I'm Evi Somers, Program Director of the Human Capital Program of Photon Delta.
And I'm Suzanne van Grootel, Project Manager, Talent Attraction and Engagement, also at Photon Delta.
That's right, and we are your hosts from Photon Delta's Human Capital team. Today we're diving into a riveting discussion that took place at the recent PIC Summit Europe conference, the go-to event in the photonic chips industry.
Today we'll share with you the key insights on our thought-provoking panel discussion that unfolded during the summit. It was titled Industry Perspective, Attracting and Retaining Talent in Competitive Markets.
But before we jump into the discussion, let's get familiar with the maestros who orchestrated this insightful conversation. Let's start with the moderator of the session, Ruud van Heur. He has had the role of ad interim Human Capital Program Manager until the end of November this year. And joining Ruud on the panel discussion were 5 distinguished individuals, each contributing a unique perspective to the conversation. First up, we have Madison Rilling, Executive Director at Optonique, a non-profit organization that contributes to the development of Quebec's photonics industry. Next on our panel is Ilse de Graaf, Talent Acquisition Manager at Smart Photonics, which is a very important company in the Photon Delta ecosystem that is producing high-end photonic integrated circuits, PICs, for customers. We also have with us Frank Wolfs, Talent Acquisition Manager at Imec, which is an international research and development organization active in the fields of nanoelectronics and digital technologies. Then, joining them is Julien Grant, Talent Acquisition Manager at NXP Semiconductors. Also on our panel is Stefano Concezzi, Corporate Vice President at FiconTEC, market leader when it comes to automated assembly and testing of optoelectronic components and hybrid photonic devices. And last, but certainly not least, we had Francesco Pesolano with us, who is the CEO and co-founder of Astrape Networks, which is a startup that is building fully optical networks for a faster and more sustainable internet.
The topic of our discussion is something that has been buzzing for quite some time, the war on talent.
To explore this, we'll be sharing insights from the panel discussion with you. And we had the opportunity in this discussion to hear from 5 experts in the industry, each providing a unique lens on their vision for talent acquisition and retention nowadays.
Let's start with the first question. What will the world look like in 5 years if we fail to address the need for talent? And what happened in the preceding years?
I think it will look the same as it does today, but we're going to lose out on a lot of potential that we're going to have missed out on a lot of opportunities if we don't do something about it. And that goes a lot beyond only attracting and retaining talent, right? It's really how do you develop that talent also internally. So when you ask what does it look like in 5 years, well, it depends what happens today so that we make a difference for in 5 years.
So for a startup, it's tough. And we need to keep on hiring. We need to keep hiring, attracting. We need to be creative. But to me, if nothing is done, working with the university is also not enough. It's just we need to have more talent so that some of this talent can come to us. When I started, it was not that difficult. There was a lot of romanticism about startups. All these nice movies about social networks, I think it's called, and all these things. People love to be in a startup. My experience is that this has changed. First, because a lot of people start to value other things than risk. You can tell them it's a great thing. Giving them stock options that doesn't help anymore. But there's just less people, and there is way more startups. I recently read an article, I think it's I don't know if it was the Financial Dagblad or something else. Especially in the Netherlands, the number of pre-seeded companies it's tremendously high, which means we are fighting for a small group of people that want to be in a startup. So for me, it got worse because there is less people, more startups, and less romanticism. And yes, a lot of these candidates want to come and talk to you. It's great, but then when you come to the nitty-gritty details, they're asking you money, insurance, social insurance. What about pension? And they realize that a lot of these things are not there or not finalized yet, and they start like, but I have bill to pay. So yes, attracting, but finalizing, I found it got worse, much worse. And what I've heard is that beyond Europe and US, it has gotten worse as well, because the current generation is slightly different than generation of where I graduated, that we would fight for the great job. Now they can choose.
Ultimately, we are all looking for the same type of skills, people with a master or, as you say, technicians. So yes, if we need the right people for the right job and able to grow. 10 years. It's super difficult to have that vision.
So I think there will be many timelines that will be totally disruptive. We will not be able to follow Moore's law in any way if we will not change our behavior. So and if Moore's law is disrupted, then also the photonics timelines will change in the negative. So we have to act.
I don't see the war, because to me the war is a negative word, and I rather see it as the newest generation. They are not interested in our war. They just want to have a nice job and to be challenged in a field where they feel they can add purpose to their life, which is a very important topic at the moment. So I rather like to see it. Let's see, in the recruitment language, we talk about chasing unicorns very often. Oh, we go for the unicorn. But rather than chasing unicorns, I think we should start creating magical forests, because then even unicorns disappear by themselves. And if you find your magic forest, whether that's the scale up or the big corporate or whatever, and that's also what I think you are trying to say, be your own magical forest, and then the people who fit your company will come.
May I ask Stefano, would you give more words to the magic force Ilse is talking about? What is that?
Well, I never use the magic force, but analogy. But the point is very obvious. So someone mentioned, which is the mission and the vision of the company. So selling the vision, the DNA that you want. And if the vision is a good vision, again, there are a lot of engineers around, a lot of PhD, there are a lot. So I'm optimistic. So which is the vision? And to me, often happens that when you're at the beginning of an enterprise, it's not so clear the vision, the mission, the purpose. And so now, I call young kid because I'm over 60, but the just graduate people, they are much smarter than I was when I was their age. So they are really looking for not just a salary, they are looking for something more, that it gave them more. So the magic forest is really, this is our vision, and the vision needs to be compelling. And this is the mission, how we want to achieve that. This is the purpose, this is the diversity that we can offer you. And you can do this when you're small or big, doesn't matter much, because the sides, at the end of the day, if like them that are multinational, but you work with your neighbors, with your team, with your small organization, and honestly, sometimes large corporations have rules that do not help the development or the traveling or going around. Small companies are more flexible, so rules are attractive for some people, flexibility are attractive for other people. So again, you can build your magic forest. I will adopt this. That basically is the narrative that you have around your company.
So, in conclusion, our journey through the insights of our panel has illuminated the multifaceted landscape of talent dynamics in the photonics industry. The shift from traditional recruitment warfare to Ilse's visionary concept of magical forests signifies a promising turn. This innovative approach underscores our industry's commitment to purpose-driven work environments that are more personal and based on inclusive cultures.
So we really try now at NXP to hire people that maybe did some internship or PhD with us, and then we try to build their career already at that level when they are still students, to also kind of bridge that gap and to make sure that we have a lot of people close to retirement. So we need to make sure that the knowledge is still also with us. So we need to, instead of recruiting very experienced profile, we have to hire people, coming outside of the university. And I really like what you were saying, especially in that business. If you stop learning, you are dead. So you need to make sure that you can continue that path with them, that journey with them, and to propose them to become, team leader or a technical expert. But at least there is a clear kind of clear path for them. So in a lot of companies and also at NXP before, we used to say, okay, we can hire interns and it's fine. If he or she is not good enough, that's not a big deal. We can find another one and that's fine. But already at that level, students are also, they have the choice. They can go everywhere, because we are all looking for the same type of skills. Let's say coming from a TU Eindhoven or that kind of university. So we need to be super specific. Okay, what do you want to do for us? How can we build together this internship to make sure that it fits also what you want to do and what is your career? So we start really at the first time, because if we can convert those interns into new college graduates, it's less job for us, right? It's easier, right? They already know the organization. We will do a lot of work to attract these interns, the good interns, and then you can have a career at NXP.
I lived in Houston for a couple of years. I went there for a Dutch company. We were here market leader. I came in Texas, which is 33 times the size of the Netherlands, and I thought, hey, I'm market leader in the Netherlands. Nobody knew me. But I learned there in 2-3 years that every company, even as a startup, you always have this particular DNA in you. And if you are able to come up with that DNA, there is always people, we are 2 billion people in the world, who will be attracted to your DNA. So try to translate your inner values and your directions. There is always people who like to join you. If you have a high salary, low salary, that disappears then maybe a little bit to the back, but try to tap into to the vision, to the DNA and what you believe in, and then you can find the right people and hopefully be successful. That will be one of the takeaways for me.
I think that the values of the company is really something super important to make sure that you can keep your talent with you. Of course, we can always talk about the salary, about a long-term incentive with RSU and things like that, but it's really about the values, how you develop your employees and a clear view also on what they can do and what they want to do, if they are performing, of course, but that should be discussed also with the management team. Of course, it's up to every employee to think about what they want to do, but at least there is a format and manager also knows how to help them to grow. That's super important.
As we envision a promising future, the need for prompt action is unmistakable. Now, turning to Frank's insights on the war of talent and what this has to do with collaboration.
When I heard for the first time the war for talent, I thought, okay, well, suppose it's a war for talent. How do you win a war? And you can only win a war, I think, by collaborating. So you have to collaborate. Even if you are a small startup or a big multinational, you have to collaborate. Collaborate with middle schools, with high schools, with universities. You have to build up alumni, you have to build up referral programs, you have to collaborate with your own employees, you have to collaborate with your competitors maybe even. Build an industry consortium like there is with EPIC here in Europe, with Carlos and his people. So you have to collaborate.
It's really important because especially as international collaborators, you always have that question of not only are we locally fishing in the same pond, but internationally it's like, yeah, let's collaborate, but then do we really expose our talent to one another? And so there's kind of two levels that I think that it's really important to play on. If we're speaking locally, I think there's a lack of creativity of the pond that we kind of self-define, especially if we go back to that pyramid model. Where is a lot of the talent that we need? Yes, there is that HQP talent, but it's a lot at the manufacturing level, at the technician level. And at the beginning, when you pose the question that, what does it look like in 5 years? Well, within the next 5 years, if we look beyond photonics, integrated photonics, integrated circuits, there's going to be a big change in many different sectors that have a lot of talent that what we want to do is go and get and redirect towards ours. Because of automation, because of artificial intelligence, there are a lot of different roles that are maybe more technician level that can have the capacity to come towards our sector, but they don't know about our sector, and we typically don't necessarily interact with them. So that's something that we really have to work on. And what's really great with that is that it gives an opportunity for better diversity within the field, because it can be an opportunity where we typically have a very homogeneous workforce, where we can go and get that maybe gender diversity, cultural diversity, and even generational diversity that can drive innovation within our companies. So I think that part is really important. We see one thing that I try to push is the use of the word a braided river instead of a pipeline, to really see the pipeline not as just what's coming in, but braided river. It's like a river that branches out, and it's how do you create different on-ramps at different points within someone's career or someone's lifetime to be exposed to the sector. So maybe they'll be exposed to it, they might not work in it, but then they can talk about it, they can become an ambassador for it, or at one point they will find a way to come towards the sector. So I think there's that idea to go towards strategies and workforce development roadmaps, for example, that are focused on that pipeline model and really go towards that braided river model. So that's what I would say locally, like kind of change that pond, redefine the pond and make it a lot bigger.
A drop for perhaps of realism. Cooperations. I love competition. I love to win. I will beat you, I will fire the So I'm joking now. So cooperation, we are cooperating, yeah, but we are also in a very competitive environment. So I would simply pay attention to cooperation, what that really means. So to generate a larger pond where we are going to compete. That I agree. So let's work together to make a larger pond. But after, de facto, we are going to compete for the best talent. So I agree that war is not the right word. Perhaps it's competition. And competition, if there is no competition, usually there is no market. And if there is no market, there is no future. And again, I call it young kid, that the young talent, they're already competing. They're already competing. And I think that they like competition if it's fair. So this is what I think that is a good point. Think that you're in competition and try to have the best magic forest.
And I think what is evident from these insights is a unanimous agreement among the panelists on the critical need for collaboration in reshaping the talent landscape. And to me, medicine's proposal to redefine the pond into a braided river model sounds as a very promising approach.
As we conclude this episode of Delta Dialogues, we want to express our gratitude to Madison, Frank, Julien, Ilse, Stefano and Francesco for their valuable insights. At Photon Delta, we're committed to turning these insights into actions.
Exactly. These perspectives will play a pivotal role in shaping our human capital program. And also, we would like to thank Ruud for leading this very interesting panel discussion, as well as for his hard work for this program the past 8 months. Over the next 6 months, stay tuned for regular updates on the innovative initiatives and strategies that we will be implementing based on the collaborative vision that we share today.
Thank you for joining us on Delta Dialogues. See you next time.